November 23, 2013, Santa Cruz Harbor, California. A yacht captain boards a luxury vessel called Escape, a 46-foot yacht worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, equipped with leather ceilings, an $8,000 captain's chair, and state-of-the-art surveillance cameras. He's checking on the boat's owner, a Google executive named Forrest Hayes, who didn't come home the night before. What he finds stops him cold. Forrest Hayes is lying dead on the cabin floor. There are 2 wine glasses nearby. Both have been used. One injection mark is visible on Forrest's arm, but there's no heroin, no needle, no drugs at all. Someone else was here. Someone who cleaned up. Someone who left. Welcome to Case File Chronicle. Tonight we're diving into a case that exposed the hidden world of Silicon Valley executives, online sugar dating, and a woman, some called a killer, others called a scapegoat. This is the story of Forrest Hayes, a married father of 5 who lived a double life, and Alex Tichelman, a tattooed, heroin-addicted call girl who would be the last person to see him alive. Was this cold-blooded murder or a tragic accident in a world built on secrets, lies, and transactions? Forrest Timothy Hayes had everything. Born in 1962 in Dearborn, Michigan, he graduated from the University of Michigan and started his career at Ford Motor Company. But Forrest had bigger ambitions. He moved to California's Silicon Valley, the land of tech dreams and billion-dollar ideas. He worked for Sun Microsystems, then Apple, then Google, specifically Google X, the company's top-secret moonshot factory, where they developed self-driving cars, Google Glass, projects so ambitious they bordered on science fiction. Forrest was making serious money, hundreds of thousands a year. He lived in a $3 million mansion in Santa Cruz with his wife, Denise, and their 5 children. He drove a $700,000 Porsche. And he owned that yacht Escape, which he'd customized with $200,000 worth of upgrades, including a sophisticated security system with high-definition cameras. From the outside, Forrest Hayes was living the California dream, but he was restless. He wanted more excitement, more danger, more escape. So Forrest started using heroin and hiring sex workers. He created a profile on a website called seekingarrangement.com, a sugar daddy dating site, where wealthy men connect with younger women looking for mutually beneficial relationships. Translation: money for companionship, often with sex involved. Forrest wasn't looking for love. He was looking for a thrill, something his wife and 5 kids couldn't provide. Something darker, something forbidden. And that's how he found Alex Tichelman. Alex Catherine Tichelman was 26 years old when she met Forrest Hayes online. She was strikingly beautiful dark hair, Betty Page aesthetics, covered in distinctive tattoos. She marketed herself as a model, a stylist, an exotic dancer. She described herself as the baddest bitch you'd ever meet. But beneath the edgy persona was a woman spiraling out of control. Alex grew up in privilege. Her father, Bart, was a tech executive and a professional poker player who once won $400,000 at the World Series of Poker. Her mother worked in retail. They lived in an affluent suburb of Atlanta. But Alex started using drugs young, marijuana at 14, heroin at 16. Her parents sent her to an expensive boarding school in Maine, $52,000 a year, hoping to save her. It didn't work. She dropped out, bounced around, eventually moved to San Francisco. By her early 20s, Alex was a full-blown heroin addict working strip clubs and doing BDSM fetish modeling. She had a YouTube channel where she posted makeup tutorials. She wrote about her love of the darker side of life. In 2011, she met a man named Dean Riopelle, 53-year-old nightclub owner and rock musician in Atlanta. They fell in love. He wanted to marry her. He sent her to rehab. He bought her an engagement ring. But Alex couldn't stay clean. And then, on September 24th, 2013, Alex called 911. Dean Riopel died of a heroin overdose. At the time, it was ruled accidental. But just 2 months later, Alex would be on another boat with another man who would also die of a heroin overdose. Coincidence? Police didn't think so. November 22nd, 2013. Forrest Hayes told his wife he was going to his yacht. He didn't say he was meeting someone. He didn't say he'd hired a call girl from a sugar daddy website. But that's exactly what he was doing. Forrest and Alex had met once before. He'd paid her over $3,000 just to have lunch. He called himself Tim. His middle name was Timothy. For this second meeting, Forrest asked Alex to bring heroin. He wanted to party. She arrived at the yacht around evening. They hugged, they drank wine, they talked. And then Alex pulled out the drugs. What happened next was captured on Forrest's high-definition surveillance cameras he'd installed as part of his $200,000 yacht upgrade. The footage is chilling. Alex prepares the heroin. She injects herself first, then she injects Forrest. At first, everything seems fine, but almost immediately, Forrest starts to go into distress. He grabs his chest. He slumps forward. Alex tries to revive him, patting his face, holding his head, but Forrest collapses to the floor. And this is where Alex's actions become indefensible. Instead of calling 911, she walks around the cabin. She finishes her glass of wine. She gathers her belongings, the needle, the drugs, her purse. She wipes down surfaces, destroying fingerprints. She steps over Forrest's body. Multiple times, casually, like he's a piece of furniture in her way. For 7 full minutes, Forrest Hayes lies dying on the floor while Alex Tichelman cleans up the crime scene. Then she pulls down the window blinds, takes one last look at Forrest's body, and leaves. She never called for help. She never tried to save him. Forrest Hayes was pronounced dead the next day. Cause of death? Heroin overdose. When the yacht captain found Forrest's body, he immediately called 911. Police arrived and started investigating. 2 wine glasses, an injection mark, no drugs, no needle. Someone else had been there. Detectives found Forrest's cell phone and discovered his profile on seekingarrangement.com. They saw he'd been messaging a woman arranging to meet her the night he died. But when they asked about the yacht's surveillance cameras, the captain told them they weren't working. That wasn't true. It took detectives 3 months and a court order to access the footage, which had been automatically uploaded to a cloud server. When they finally watched the video, they were stunned. They saw everything: the wine, the drugs, the injection, Forrest's collapse, and Alex's callous response stepping over his body, drinking wine, cleaning up, and walking away. Using the video, detectives identified Alex by her distinctive tattoos and matched her to a profile on seekingarrangement.com. But by then, Alex had left California. She'd posted on Facebook about moving to Georgia or possibly leaving the country. Police knew they had to act fast, so they set up a sting. An undercover detective created a fake profile on seekingarrangement.com, posing as a wealthy client named Sebastian. He reached out to Alex, negotiated a meeting offering at least $1,000 for her services, and deposited money into her account. Alex took the bait. On July 4th, 2014, 8 months after Forrest's death, Alex arrived at a secluded resort in Santa Cruz County. She was carrying heroin in her bag, expecting to meet another sugar daddy. Instead, she met police. When they told her they were cops, she panicked. She cried. Alex Tichelman was arrested and charged with manslaughter, administering a controlled substance, possession of heroin, destroying evidence, and prostitution. She was facing nearly 20 years in prison. Alex sat in jail for almost a year awaiting trial. Her defense attorneys argued that Forrest Hayes was a willing participant, that he wanted the heroin, that he asked her to bring it, that he used his own cell phone light to show her where to inject him. They said Alex panicked when Forrest collapsed, that she was high herself, that she wasn't thinking clearly, that she was scared. But prosecutors had that video, and it was devastating. It showed Alex stepping over Forrest's dying body, finishing her wine, cleaning up, walking away. Then, just before trial, something unexpected happened. On May 19, 2015, with her parents watching, Alex Tichelman pleaded guilty. Guilty to involuntary manslaughter, guilty to prostitution, guilty to possession of drugs, guilty to destroying evidence. She was sentenced to 6 years in jail. But with time served and credit for good behavior, she'd only serve a little over 2 years. And then came the twist. The family of Forrest Hayes told prosecutors they didn't want the case to go to trial. They didn't want that video released. They didn't want the world to see Forrest's final moments. The prosecutor, Rafael Vasquez, later said the family would have been very happy if this case simply would have been dismissed. Why? Because Forrest Hayes wasn't just a victim. He was also a married man who hired prostitutes, used heroin, and lived a double life. The video would have destroyed his reputation, humiliated his wife, traumatized his children, so the family chose silence over justice. Alex served her sentence. On March 29, 2017, she was released from jail, but she didn't walk free. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents were waiting. Alex was stripped of her U.S. citizenship and deported to Canada, where she also held citizenship. She thought it was over. It wasn't. 9 days after her release, Alex gave her first interview. She told her side of the story that Forrest had asked for the heroin, that she panicked, that she regretted not calling 911. Just 3 days later, Georgia prosecutors dropped a bombshell. Alex Tichelman was indicted for murder in the death of Dean Riopelle, her ex-boyfriend, who died of a heroin overdose 2 months before Forrest Hayes. Suddenly, this wasn't about one tragic accident. This was about a pattern. 2 men, 2 heroin overdoses, both with Alex Tichelman. But here's the problem. Alex was in Canada, and Canada won't extradite citizens to the U.S. if they might face the death penalty. So the case was placed on hold. As of today, Alex Tichelman has never been prosecuted for Dean Riopelle's death. She lives in Canada, working in the hospitality industry. She claims to be clean, sober, and in a loving relationship. Dean's family has never received justice. So who is Alex Tichelman? Is she a cold-blooded killer who drugged men and watched them die? Or is she a deeply troubled addict who made terrible decisions in moments of panic? The truth, as always, is complicated. 6 people who knew Alex well told NBC News she was a sensitive, big-hearted dreamer who turned to drugs and sex work to cope with trauma. But police in 2 states believe she's responsible for 2 deaths. Forrest Hayes made his own choices. He hired Alex. He asked for heroin. He took the risk. But when he collapsed, Alex had a choice too. She could have called 911. She could have tried to save him. She didn't. And that's the question that haunts this case. If you watch someone die and do nothing to help, if you step over their body, finish your wine, and walk away, are you a killer? Forrest Timothy Hayes died on November 22, 2013. He was 51 years old. He left behind a wife, 5 children, and a legacy forever tainted by the choices he made in his final hours. Alex Tichelman served her time. She's free now, living in Canada, beyond the reach of Georgia prosecutors. Justice? That depends on who you ask. This has been Case File Chronicle. Sometimes, the most dangerous escapes are the ones we seek ourselves.